Hello and welcome to TB3 Sports Talk. This is episode 82. I'm Colby. I'm here with Will. I'm here with Joel. And we are here to talk to you guys about the biggest week in Tampa Bay sports in the whole entire year. And I don't think that's a crazy claim to make.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, this is a very busy week, especially for us, getting to cover all three teams. It's not very often you get to do that, really.
I felt busy. I felt like I've had to keep up with a lot of stuff this last week.
Yeah, a lot of sports watching, a lot of keeping track of the news. I got, so many beat writers and reporters, Twitter notifications on. I've been seeing stuff pop up all over. But it's fun. It's fun because it's rare. Like, the stars have to align for this to happen. I mean, number one, you have to have the Lightning in the playoffs. And really the only other time of the year you have to have the Rays in the playoffs. Yeah. So it's exciting stuff.
If the Rays are in the playoffs, that makes it more of an equinox, though, because then you have the Bulls playing. So if the Rays make the playoffs, then that can be the biggest day of the year. But the Rays might not make the playoffs, so we'll see. In the NHL,
come on, man.
Yeah, it's feeling better. Feeling better.
Trip,
no, I don't feel as confident about the Rays making the playoffs as the Lightning do, or as I feel about the Lightning making it. But what was I about to say? I don't even know what I was about to say. I don't know. It left me. But in terms of Lightning, I guess it's a good segue. We're going to talk about them because they're in the playoffs, and they are facing a daunting 3-1 deficit currently. Last night was pretty heartbreaking. Can you guys remember like a more heartbreaking Lightning game recently? There was, the elimination game against the Leafs. But again, that was overtime. Like, you were kind of stewing in that the whole overtime. To have what happened was the Panthers scored 2 goals in 11 seconds with about 4 minutes remaining in the game, and that's all she wrote. The Panthers would take the lead from there, get the empty netter. The last time I saw the Lightning score a goal with their goalie pulled was probably was like an infant, bro. I feel like it hasn't happened in years. And the Lightning are down 3-1. I don't know. I guess initial thoughts on Game 4 and what happened, and just the outlook on the series, guys.
It's really disappointing. It really is, and like you said, yeah, it's hard to feel that heartbreak, especially because you felt like they had the game. You felt like they turned the series around, especially in Game 3 with a dominant win through all the adversity, and then within literally, no exaggeration, 11 seconds, it just all crumbled away. It's like the, what do they call it, like the 4 or 5 stages of grief. Like, the first one's like shock. Like, I just couldn't believe it happened. It doesn't even hit you. And then now, I've gotten to the angry side of it. I've gotten to that side pretty quick because I just think there's dark forces working against us.
And it felt like the playoff story was right for the Lightning. It's like, all right, we're down. You take out Hagel. Watch this. You score, and then it's like, oh, you want some salt in those wounds? Here's this. And all you had to do is defend the lead, which is harder said than done. And we're here talking tonight about the grief of it all.
Yeah, I've just been sad. I've been really sad. Like, sometimes sporting events, they enrage me. They make me mad. Last night, I was just really sad, man. I couldn't believe what happened. Yeah, again, a lot of pressure from the Panthers in that third period. They were able to kind of consistently have pressure on the Lightning. Had a goal taken away from offsides early on in that period, and it's just unfortunate. A bad clear from Jake Gensel, some poor boxing out and keeping people out from in front of the net. Some poor rebound and saves by Andrei Vasilevskiy, who was awesome the last 2 games. But, I think the last 2 goals were softies. And I think kind of the goals that have kind of been backbreakers for the Lightning in series have been softies given up from Andrei Vasilevskiy. That Game 2 goal, the slapper, that's a softie. I think the go-ahead goal in this game was a softie. You can argue about that game-tying goal. I thought he could do a better job controlling the rebound, but again, easier said than done. But for me, there's just a lot of things that went wrong, and it happened so fast. And it just feels like the Lightning have put themselves in a hole they can't dig themselves out of.
And I understand you're saying it's a softie, but remember, it's a one-on-one. Like, the guy's right there in the blue, and it's like, where's the guy on him defending him? It's
for
like,
sure. That goal was, yeah.
They're not. I think it's one of those things where they're not like preparing for where the puck's gonna go. and they're kind of all on top of this one guy, and then the puck goes over here, and it's like, oh, we weren't ready for that guy. We were too busy being on the puck instead of being on the guy.
There's been a lot of videos and just people noticing, us included, the team-wide defense, especially from the forwards, has not been very good. There's been a lot of plays, especially early on in the series, where plays would develop and the forwards would not come down to, take away that extra guy, who's going in for the rebound, or take away that last passing lane. Like, a kind of, not that the Lightning were giving up, but that's what it looked like on the screen. And I think it was more about not being mentally, in the moment, not being, mentally prepared, being, focused on something else, or just the play happening so fast. But I think there is a lot of case of what you're saying, where the Lightning didn't have the correct rotation. They didn't have the forward backtracking to help with that rebound. Because, again, I can say that I think Andre Vasilevsky could have steered that rebound not right exactly to the guy in the blue paint. But like you said, he's wide open. He's wide open, and defensively, net front presence has been the problem for the Lightning this whole series. I mean, you look back at Game 1, first 2 goals of the series sets the tone. 2 deflection goals. I mean, just brutal. And then in this game, I mean, again, all of these goals were just a lot of chances, and just not good clearing, not good execution with the puck in your own zone, and that's come back to bite the Lightning in this series, and it's come back to bite the Lightning a lot of times in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think defensive breakdowns has really been the big issue, and you saw it. I mean, from the first goal in the game with Brad Marchand, I mean, I'm pretty sure, looking back at the replay, all 5 of the Lightning players were on one side of the ice.
Yeah.
And he was able to pass it out, and it's just, and you saw it just kind of break down throughout the whole series, and, it just comes down to bad defensive laps. And I said this at the trade deadline. I mean, the defense has had some issues, and I'm just afraid it was going to come back to bite them, and it certainly did. I mean, even with Gensel, he's not a defensive player, but still, I mean, even your offensive guys are making huge laps, mental laps. So it's just difficult. I
think that's where you see where the Panthers kind of have the edge on the Lightning, is a lot of their forwards and centers are not only really, really talented offensive players, but they work their tails off defensively. Barkov, Marchand, even to Chuck, I mean, Lundell. These guys, I mean, they're working their butts off. I mean, they're forechecking, they're stripping the Lightning, they're making all the right plays. I haven't seen the Lightning complete like a cross-ice pass, I feel like, the whole entire series. I mean, they take that stuff away. They are so good defensively, and maybe where they lack a little bit offensively, when it comes to finishing or just overall passing and scoring, they make up for it defensively, and they are such a tough-nosed team defensively. Like, again, like I have no real shame in saying, like, I feel like we're playing the best team in hockey. Like, I really do feel like this is. I hate giving the Panthers credit because of what we're going to talk about, in a little bit. But they have not made many mistakes defensively. The person that really has made mistakes is Bobrovsky. I think the Lightning have done a much better job the last couple games, getting the pucks on net, taking more shots. But I think a couple players, you mentioned like the Lightning not going out to get defensemen and stuff like that, and I agree with that. But I kind of feel like you got to look at the stars for the Lightning in this series. I think you look at 2 guys specifically. You look at Victor Hedman and Nikita Kucherov. These guys have been non-existent. Nikita Kucherov had 3 assists in Game 3, but the power play is 1 for 15. That is Hedman and Kucherov's thing, and they are ineffective on the power play right now, and that's going to come back to bite them in the series. I think these guys, have not been as physical as they need to be. They've allowed the Panthers to pretty much just punk them and take them out of the game, and those 2 star players have to show up if the Lightning have any chance of pulling off a historic comeback.
Yeah, the power play at this point is humorous.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it's really disgusting. I know this is what I said. You can't have a repeat of last year with Kucherov not showing up, and assists are one thing, but I mean, come on. I mean, he really just looks non-existent. I think Hedman, though, he hasn't really been good on the offensive side, but I'd say out of our defensemen, he's probably played the best.
I would say Eric Chernek's been the best defenseman, man. I thought he's been awesome this series. But I think Hedman's had some good plays, but I also feel like Hedman's been out of position a couple times too.
Well, they all have.
Yeah, that is fair. I mean, Nick Perbix and Darren Radish. I mean, Darren Radish was a scratch for some of these games, but Nick Perbix, get that guy as far away from Tampa Bay as possible. It is rough to watch him play. Lilberg too. Those young defensemen have been rough, man. Very, very rough. Moser's been all right, but
which is sad because it wasn't too long ago where we were saying like, oh man, these young defensemen are so great. Like we can invest all our money in forwards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, how times have changed.
I think Moser will stick, but Lilberg and Perbix are rough. They make just too many, lackluster clears. Losing the puck on the forecheck, that's been a huge problem. The physicality, huge problem. I mean, look at this game. The Panthers have 46 hits to the Lightning's 28. The Panthers are the more physical team. It's allowing them to kind of just dictate the pace and where the puck is pretty much at all times. And, I mean, the Lightning have had spurts, but it's been rough. Again, 1 for 15 on the power play this series. And I'm pretty sure the one was the first power play of the series, the first or second. So they're on a pretty hefty scoreless streak, at least a 3-game scoreless streak. So,
and there was a good run in there too, where they hadn't got a shot on net.
Yeah. Well, that comes down to that 5. Okay, we can transition this into the officiating talk, but we had a 5-minute major penalty that was called last night, and we didn't get a shot on net in 5 minutes. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of officiating, it has been a controversial and loud topic of this series because we haven't had an episode since the beginning, so just to give you guys the timeline, Game 2, Brandon Hagel gets called for a 5-minute major on an interference penalty. He hits Alexander Barkov, 5 minutes. Kind of iffy on that. It kind of happened just because Barkov was going for the puck and he missed it, so he never actually touched the puck. That's why that was such a major interference penalty at 5 minutes. But after that play, the league decided to suspend Brandon Hagel for 1 game, making him miss Game 3. Flash forward to Game 3. By the way, this Hagel hit happened when the Lightning were down 1-0 in the middle of the third period. There's no malicious intent. You're trying to win a hockey game at that point. Flash forward to Game 3. The Lightning are up 4-1, about to go up 5-1 on the empty netter. Jake Gensel gives off the puck on an empty net shot. Matthew Tkachuk waits about 3 seconds and delivers pretty much the same hit that Brandon Hagel delivered to Alexander Barkov. Tkachuk delivers that hit to Jake Gensel. Matthew Tkachuk gets that 5-minute major, but there's no suspension handed out for Matthew Tkachuk in Game 4. He's allowed to play. Flash forward again to Game 4. Game 4, there is a hit, a forearm or elbow given from Aaron Ekblad towards Brandon Hagel. That knocks him out of the game. Not only knocks him out of Game 4, but it will knock him out of Game 5. John Cooper came out and said he's not going to play. Aaron Ekblad was not called for a penalty on the ice. The league office came back and reviewed that. They said he is suspended for 2 games. So he was suspended for 2 games for taking PEDs, and now he's suspended 2 more games. Seems like this guy isn't a good dude, but I don't know. And then also in that play, Mikkola on the Panthers, he delivered a pretty vicious hit to Zemgus Girgensons when he's fallen down against the boards. Looked like it was a hit that seriously could take his head off. It scrunched his neck on the boards, and he got a $5,000 fine, no suspension for that. That was the one that caused the 5-minute major that we weren't able to score on. So a lot of things that have happened, a lot of things that have not been called. But what are you guys' thoughts on the suspensions, the officiating, and just the physical play overall?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think to go back to what you said just a couple minutes earlier, where you pulled up the stats there between heads, and I just feel like the way the officiating's been, I mean, I think the Panthers have just been allowed to be a more aggressive and physical team, and the Lightning obviously can't do that. And I just... It bugs me so much between at least the 2 hits between Hagel's and Tkachuk's. I mean, you look at it, the Lightning are down, but they are certainly not out of it. You look at the Panthers and Tkachuk in that moment. I mean, that game's over. That game's over. And what just makes me so mad is just too how the media, even the media has kind of spewed it. Like when I watch that play, and even non-biased, it's hard to say that because we're Lightning fans, but just he's going for the puck and he misses it. He gets a puck, it's a clean hit. We're talking about, oh, what a hit, Hagel, that's so great, but he doesn't get it. And then I feel like the media and everybody wants to send Hagel to the guillotine. Right, oh, dirty, just a terrible hit. But then, I mean, Kachuk, he's not looking at the puck. He's got his eyes locked on Gensel. He wanted to make that hit. He wanted to take out one of the Lightning's best players. That's just so intentional. And then, you're sitting there. I think that game was on ESPN. And the color guy, I don't even know who it is, you don't slow it down. It looks bang bang to me. Yeah. It's like, what in the world?
Yeah.
That wasn't even close to like a bang bang play. I mean, that was so late and dirty. And the fact they don't even bother to do a hearing for it, the committee, that whoever is in charge of this, doesn't even bother to look at it. It's just infuriating. It's terrible.
In some ways, I guess I appreciate it because up to this point, I've had no respect for the Panthers. I don't give a crap about our little brother, even last year. But now it's like, all right, if you're going to take out our players like this, then maybe you do deserve a little bit of animosity from me.
Yeah, and I feel like there's been so much, like you mentioned, Joel, so much that we've seen and we've talked about, and so much that has not been called. I mean, I go back to his Aaron Ekblad hit on Brandon Hagel. There was not a penalty called on the ice. And now Aaron Ekblad, after looking at the tape, is suspended for 2 games. That's ridiculous.
That's so bad.
The
officials were looking at it.
Yeah.
They were looking at it.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. There's been so many, calls that could have gone one way. Again, there was some things that are called on the Lightning that it doesn't feel like you're calling on the Panthers the same way. It just doesn't seem like it's a fair officiated game. It doesn't seem like it's a fair, looked at, for suspensions wise, because again, the Tkachuk hit had more malicious intent. If you want to say they're the same amount of contact, if you want to say that maybe Hagel raised up a little bit, maybe hit him a little bit higher, neither of those was head-to-head contact. Hagel hit him right in the chest.
And that's what they were trying to say, too.
Yeah.
It's like you can literally watch and see that's not true.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's like and he was going for the puck. It's just like, and again, I thought it should have been a 2-minute penalty on the ice. I thought 5 minutes was ridiculous. And then to go suspend them is even more ridiculous. And then to not suspend Tkachuk is the most ridiculous thing of all. It's the same hit, and it's like, how blatantly obvious can everyone can see you're not doing your job. And it's not, we don't want to come here and call it rigged or whatever, but they're not doing their job correctly. The officials on the ice, the people reviewing it in the league office, no one is. We all heard the thing about the assistant Panthers GM and his brother working for that league office.
His dad. He's the vice president of NHL operations.
And we've all heard that, and it's just like, we got to do our jobs. We got to be professionals here. And then just to kind of compound, I think there's 2 reasons why the Panthers are out physicaling the Lightning so bad, right? First reason is the officiating crew and the refs are only going to really catch half of it, right? The refs are only going to be able to catch half the stuff, whether it's letting it go for playoff hockey, whether it's they don't like Cooper, whether it's they have relationships with the Panthers player, whether it's just they're not seeing it, they're missing. It's referees, they miss stuff, whatever. Playoff hockey, all of those things, I would say a combination of letting stuff go for playoff hockey and missing stuff. You're only going to catch about 50% of the penalties that actually happen. And then you compound that with the Panthers being a very physical team, and you compound that even more with an inept Lightning power play. And all those ingredients have allowed the Panthers to play the exact game they want to play. Physical, rugged, aggressive. Because again, if the Panthers are going to commit a penalty, it's only going to be called 50% of the time, and then the 50% of the time it is called, are the Lightning going to score on the power play? No. There's literally no risk for the Panthers to play physical and to push the needle and to push the boundaries, because again, there's really no risk toward it. It's either it doesn't get called and you're able to continue to play the game, or you just kill the penalty off. I mean, we saw you got a 5-minute major. You didn't get a shot on net. It's crazy, and it's the Lightning are playing into the Panthers' hand. I don't think that this is like last year. I don't think the Panthers are that significantly of a better team right now, a 3-1 better. I think the Lightning could have easily won game 2, 3, and 4, but they're playing right into the Panthers' hands. They're Nikita Kucherov playing right into the Panthers' hands. We said it at the beginning of the series. You got to be willing to shoot the puck, and his unwillingness to shoot has made him invisible. The power play, the overpassing, the just tic-tac-toe in the offensive zone, the decisiveness for the Lightning in their own offensive zone, in the neutral zone. All of that is playing right into the Panthers' hands, and that is why the Lightning are losing. They're playing right into the Panthers' hands with all these things going against them.
And for a little bit in that last game that we lost, you saw the Lightning start to kind of get out of that way, and they were putting shots on Bobrovsky, and you saw him kind of fumbling him around, like that one knocked off his pad and went in. And then in the game before that, the puck literally went under his glove. So you see some of the nervousness, I guess you could say, in Bobrovsky, and we've been taking advantage of that. But like you're saying, when we're doing all this tic-tac-toe crap, it's not working. And you hear Bobby, or you hear Phil Esposito say all the time, like, just put the puck on the net. And it's so true. And like we're sitting here right now saying, like, if we put the puck on the net more, like, it would work. And I get there's so many players in front, but you never know what's going to happen with the deflection.
Yeah, and just the thing that has been working for the Lightning in Game 3 and Game 4, they've created a lot more chances. 2 goals in the first 2 games at Amalie Arena. It's been these quick resets in the neutral zone. When the puck gets out, either someone is intercepting it and carrying it in, or they're making one pass and they're taking it down the wing and they're shooting the puck. There's been a lot of quick resets in the neutral zone, which has allowed more chances for the Lightning. And the reason why that's so effective is it doesn't take 2 or 3 passes to get that done. It takes 1 pass or it takes 0 passes. So the Lightning just have to be more decisive. Again, we could talk about this. Like I said, I don't know if this is a bold or crazy take, but the Lightning could have won easily Game 2, 3, and 4, and be up 3-1 instead of down 3-1.
Well, they should have won Game 4.
Yeah, and they had open nets in Game 2 that they weren't able to capitalize on.
Yeah, like the first minute, there was 2 opportunities. Gensel and Point both missed them.
So hard to watch.
I really don't know how Point missed his.
Yeah.
But, well, I think that's why they lost Game 4 is they weren't putting shots on the net and they weren't going after Bobrovsky, and I just feel like in that third period they were playing it safe. And I think on the radio they said it, and I think everybody knew. Go and win the game. Don't try to hold on for dear life. And that's exactly what they did. Even with Gensel there at the end, instead of just trying to take the puck out, he goes back around behind the net to play it safe, and that's what costed him. But yeah, I think you're right. Just when they haven't given themselves enough opportunity to put pressure on Bobrovsky to really, really see how this could shake out. So I agree with you.
Because I don't think Bob's been very good. Like you said, there's some bad goals, especially in Game 3. But again, you just have to be more decisive. But I do think the Lightning, unlike last year, kind of have the formula to beat the Panthers. They don't have the power play formula, but I do think, again, you had that game last night. Again, you just had to be a little bit more tidy. Again, if Jake Gensel gets the puck on the glass instead of the wall, and that puck gets out, we're not talking about this. The puck is out, and the Lightning have won, and we have tied the series. So you got to continue those quick transition games. And again, the Panthers still have to beat you for 60 minutes one more time to win this series. They still have to either go in Amalie Arena or defend their home ice one more time. Lightning, it's just one game at a time. You got to take it one game at a time. You have to, cut it down, simplify your game. And again, it doesn't feel good to me. I wouldn't tell you right now I think the Lightning are going to come back from 3-1. But I could see a world where they do, and I could see how they can do it. And it seems pretty easy to me. Not easy, but it seems like the plan is clear-cut to me. Simplify it, get the pucks on the net, stop with all this nonsense passing, be tidier in your zone, and just take it one game at a time. Don't lose in Amalie Arena. If you get 0-3 to Amalie Arena to your little brother, I'm be so mad.
Yeah, I'd really love to see him do it. It's just not looking good. I mean, I think, again, you have to, first off, not shoot yourself in the foot if you want to win in Game 5 here. You have to establish or, break through on the power play. I think that's really been the worst part of this. The absolute worst part is just, useless power plays. It's disgusting. But, yeah, I think definitely be more aggressive. Be more aggressive out there on the ice. And as far as, taking shots, look at, Lilberg and, Chafee. Take those shots from the top of the blue line. See what happens. See what happens with, deflection if someone could come in. I think that's your only way to get through it. But I said it, not on the show, of course, we haven't filmed. But I really said you had to win the last game to even have to have a chance. I just don't think down 3-1 that's going to happen.
Someone also needs to be popped in the first 5 minutes of the next game. Whether it's Lilberg or Gergensons or Perbix or Yanni Gord or it won't be Hagel, he's not nice, or Sorelli. Someone needs to be popped. Someone needs to pop a Panthers player in the first 5 minutes of the game.
This is really risky.
And I honestly,
that's where you need a guy like Pat Maroon.
We're missing our enforcer right now. Or shoot, drop the gloves. We need something. We need something to fight back. I think someone should have been popping that third period, but they were trying to protect their lead. So, I think you have to match the Panthers' physicality because the refs aren't going to do anything about it. So I'll ask you guys this question. Will there be a Game 6?
I think so.
I mean, if there is, they're not going to win in Game 6.
I think if
I said at the beginning of the playoffs, losing 6. So
yeah, you guys stick with that?
I think we defend our home, and we go to Florida for Game 6 and we lose.
I think if the Lightning win Game 5, they're winning the series, but I think they're going to lose Game 5.
Hey, don't forget, Lightning came back from a 3-1 deficit in 2011. The best year of hockey in my life.
There you go.
When they lost to the Bruins.
Hey, but they came back from 3-1 against who?
The Penguins.
Okay. I'm telling you, if the Lightning if they win tomorrow night in Amalie Arena, they will win this series.
Yeah.
But they're not going to win.
Hey, come on.
But if they win tomorrow night, they're going to win this series. I guarantee it.
And speaking of the Penguins, they haven't won a first round since their Stanley Cup championship. So
is that happening to us?
It feels more and more like it every year.
Yep. So yeah, tomorrow night, Amalie Arena, 7:30. You'll be listening to it, and it'll be tonight. You'll be listening on Wednesday. So give us your score predictions in the comments. Give us your thoughts on Game 4 and the whole series. Maybe thoughts on the officiating. And yeah, we're gonna move on. So second thing we're gonna get is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because it was a big week. It was draft week. It was a Jason Light Cook week, I like to call it. The Buccaneers had a busy week. And I think Will's going to announce the picks for us.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. You never know what Jason Light's going to do. I think he's established himself as one of the best GMs in the NFL. I think everything he's done has spoken for itself. I don't think you really have to argue that anymore. And this draft was no different. But a surprise to a lot of people. In the first round, number 19th overall, the Bucs select wide receiver Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State with their first overall pick. Second overall pick, number 53 overall, cornerback from Notre Dame, Benjamin Morrison. Round number 3, pick number 84, cornerback from Kansas State, Jacob Parrish. Number 121 in round 4, edge from Central Arkansas, David Walker. Round 5, number 157, Elijah Roberts, defensive line, SMU. And then no 6th-round pick because that was sent to Detroit in the Carlton Davis trade. But in round number 7, number 235, Tez Johnson, wide receiver, Oregon. That is your Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2025 class.
So yeah, I think we got to start off with the first-round pick, Emeka Egbuka. Wide receiver. So that is something that I don't think a lot of us expected. Jason Light and Todd Bowles kind of like alluded to it in the draft process coming up that don't be surprised if you take a wide receiver. I think a lot of us thought he was just kind of blowing smoke, trying to get people, trying to throw people off the scent of what they're actually doing. But they went receiver, and I think they went with a dog, man. I mean, Emeka Egbuka had 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons at Ohio State. He's a national champion last year. He's the all-time leading receptions. There we go. The all-time receptions leader in Ohio State. He's second all-time in receiving yards. That's a storied program, and for him to do that at Ohio State is pretty darn impressive. Again, this is a guy that can kind of play everywhere. He's played outside and slot during his career. He most likely will be an elite slot guy in the NFL, so I think that's where we can see him. We've already seen Emeka Egbuka play with some pretty talented wide receivers. In the last 2 years, he's played with Marvin Harrison Jr. And Jeremiah Smith, both players that will probably be top 5 picks at the minimum. Marvin Harrison was pick number 4 to the Cardinals. So he's already has kind of that ability to kind of mold into a talented wide receiver group, which he'll be coming into, because if you guys remember, the Bucs still have Mike Evans, they still have Chris Godwin, they still have Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard. So this is one of, if not the best wide receiver room in the NFL.
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least. It is very interesting. I think, obviously he's a great receiver. I think, if you haven't heard of him, obviously you're living under a rock because Ohio State won the national championship. But if you're looking at, receiver boards and, kind of the top guys, he might not have been number 1. He might not have been, the guy everybody's talking about. He's certainly a great caliber of player. I don't know. It's going to be one of those picks where, 3 or 4 years from now, we can truly decide, okay, this was a great pick. Mm-hmm. This was not a great pick. As far as, for next year, does this help out a lot? I will confidently say no. I don't think I just think, you look at the Bucs last year. Obviously, they had a lot of time without Mike Evans. They had a lot of time without Chris Godwin. And I think that's kind of why they made this pick. And, there's a lot of speculations, too, about Chris Godwin's health, if he'll be fully ready to go. Maybe there's been some setbacks. They're not quite being open about with the media. And maybe this, Ibuka's going to have to step up in a role that we aren't really expecting. But, it's just going to be hard I just feel like it's going to be hard for him to produce with the guys you already have. Like, I don't know if he's necessarily going to take the offense to a whole new level, being a rookie receiver. You already have Mike. He's going to get a lot of targets. Godwin's going to get a lot of targets if he's healthy. And then you have Jalen McMillan, who looked super promising last year and looked like a steal from the 3rd round. So, maybe somebody else talk, but I have some more stuff.
For me, it makes me wonder, are there conversations behind the scenes about Mike Evans retiring after this year? This is his final year in his contract. And if you remember, Calvin Johnson on the Lions retired at 30. Barry Sanders retired at 31. Mike Evans will be 33 this year. 32 this year. So maybe he wants to go out that path, kind of. I think leave while you're still on top. Got a little bit of brains left over.
Yeah, I think those guys are just trying to get out of Detroit.
Yeah, that didn't help. Detroit didn't.
Tampa Bay has been second to Detroit for most of its existence. So
yeah, but in recent years, and, they gave Mike a Super Bowl ring. So Detroit.
During the Calvin Johnson era, though, the Bucs were almost as bad as the Lions for most of it.
Well, yeah.
Majority.
I'm sure those guys.
When was?
Those guys don't regret retiring that early. So maybe Mike's like,
What was it? Calvin Johnson was like 2008, right?
Yeah, he was late 2000s.
So the Bucs were pretty bad.
Well, they ended their playoff.
I can go look. I think he literally
had a couple.
He played for their playoff
with
drought.
Shiano.
Yeah, they were pretty bad. For me, I think the reason why they made this pick was Ibuka was by far the best player left on the Bucs board. And I think there's been some cases in Jason Light's history where he's gone that way. I think that's a good way to build your team. I think you too often, fans especially, you get sucked into the best player at a specific position. For us, it would be edge rusher or cornerback. And you kind of, really, the worst position on your team, you want them to draft in the first round. But I think the good GMs, they draft the best players available. I think they were, again, Jason Light has said this. Again, obviously, Jason Light's not telling us everything that's gone down into the war room. But, Jason Light said, hey, we didn't expect him to be there. We didn't take a meeting with Emeka Ibuka because there was nothing we needed to know about him. We already were set with him. We thought he was a great prospect. And then he was like, yeah, it's just hard not to take a guy that high on your board at pick 19. So I respect that one. I think that this pick makes more sense when you look at the future. When you're talking about Mike Evans, only 1 year left on his deal, probably only got 1 to 3 years left. Chris Godwin has 3 years left on his deal. That's not a long time either.
I don't think he plays out that contract.
Well, either. And also, who knows? But also you got to think of I mean, Chris Godwin's missed a lot of time in the last 3 or 4 years. Mike Evans missed time last year. You know, when you think of it as an insurance policy and as a future, it makes a lot more sense. But, I mean, you can never have too many good wide receivers, man. And I think Emeka Egbuka, what gives me confidence that he will be able to help boost the Bucs offense to another level is his experience in college, playing with other really great wide receivers and kind of molding to what the offense needs, whether it's a, you know, intermediate passing guy, you know, a third down guy. He was a big third down guy at Ohio State. I think that if he's able to do that, I think he'll be able to complement Mike Evans well and complement Chris Godwin well. I think he's a very similar player to Chris Godwin, but I do think that they can work together. Chris Godwin has moved around in his career. I mean, he was not in the slot, you know, under Dave Canales, and that was not a great season for him, but at least we know he can play over there. And then, obviously, you're not going to play 4 wide that much. I mean, you'll play it more when you have 4 good wide receivers, but you're not going to play 4 wide receivers the whole game. That's just unrealistic. But I do think the rotation, the insurance policy, I do think this is a good pick, and I think it's a great pick when you think of what he can be for the future. Potentially be your future wide receiver 1, and then have McMillan be your future wide receiver 2.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things to break down there. I think the biggest thing, I mean, that bothers me is, like, you know, they're like, well, we're not going to miss out on a guy if the opportunity is there. And I get that, but I also think that, you know, there's always going to be better receivers. There's always going to be drafts where you have somebody else. And I just think, and where the Buccaneers are at, and where, you know, they're trying to get to, I mean, you have such a limited opportunity to win, to compete in the playoffs. And I just think it was a little bit of a reach for who he is. I think he's a good receiver, but I don't necessarily think that he's going to replace Mike Evans. And that leads to my second point, you know, where it's like, well, a lot of people are saying, well, Mike Evans isn't getting any younger. Chris Godwin, you know, doesn't have a lot of time left. You know, injury-wise, he could retire early, this and that. So if he doesn't have a lot of time left, then let's go and get somebody now who can contribute. And what really haunts me still is, you know, missing out on a guy like Jahad Campbell, because I feel like that's somebody that was a linebacker from Alabama who could have come in and played right away and been a great fit. I think you look at Egbuka, like I said earlier, I don't know necessarily if he's going to be a significant difference maker for a team that was already the 4th best offense in the NFL last season. And I just think, too, how come nobody's saying, well, Levante David isn't getting any younger? Because he certainly isn't. And the Bucs didn't address or draft a linebacker at all. At all. So you make this pick with the notion that we're not going to, you know, pass up on a guy. But you're also then relying on a lot of variables for your defense. And I know they address defense for the rest of the draft. But as far as game changers, I don't know if I see more than one in the rest of their draft picks.
I disagree with a couple points. I disagree in saying that I don't think Jahad Campbell is a more NFL-ready player than Emeka Egbuka. I think you're actually hard-pressed to find a more NFL-ready player in this draft than Emeka Egbuka. I think he's a very polished route runner. I think that he will contribute because he's ready to contribute. I think he's going to beat out J-Mac for that wide receiver 3 spot. I really think he is that good. As for Jahad Campbell, I think there was a lot of question on if he could be plug and play. So I think when you look at and I don't know. So I think if we all agree that the Bucs will probably be drafting in that 20 to 30 range for the next 5 years. Like, I think they will be a playoff to fringe playoff team for the next 5 years. I think we all agree with that, right? Yeah. To extent
3
to a degree.
About 5. That's
okay. Yeah, 3. We can say 3. That's fine. I don't know if you're gonna find a better receiver from the 20 to 30 realm that you did at 19 with Emeka Egbuka.
I don't know.
I mean, I just
think this wasn't the best receiving class, though. I think that's my point exactly. Is there's going to be better and deeper receiving classes for years to come. I don't think this was a time where I don't think this receiving class was really that great. If you look at it,
I don't know. I mean, Egbuka, he's a really good player. And I mean, you look at Levante David. He was drafted with the 58th pick. You compare that to Mike Evans, who Mike Evans is now the only other first-round receiver drafted by Jason Light. It's Ibuka and Mike Evans. So I think it's easier to find a good linebacker in the middle of the draft than it is to find a good receiver early in the draft. But I don't know. I see your point, and I don't think that...
Yeah, but we didn't get a linebacker at all.
Well, you don't think we're linebackers not set for next year?
Again, it's a lot of variables. You have Levante David, who's way up there in age. He's way overproduced for his age. He's been a heck of a player, but at some point, father time is going to catch up to you. And it very well could be this year. Then you're looking at Servache Dennis. Yes, has all the potential in the world. For the very short amount of time he was playing last season, he was great. But then you're also relying that he can stay healthy for a full 17-game season, which he hasn't shown that he could do. And then with the Anthony Walker signing, again, I just, from looking at his stats and looking at how he was with the Dolphins, I don't think that's really a difference from what you had with KJ Brett. I don't think so. So you're relying on a lot of stuff to just work out perfectly in a league where crazy stuff happens every single day.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, that's fair. And I do think that they should have went linebacker at some point in the draft, whether it was late or early. I was kind of shocked they didn't. But at the end of the day, I can't fault at this point Jason Light for taking the best player on the board. And that's where I have the comfort is I believe that they took the best player on the board in their minds.
In their minds, yeah. I don't know.
And I trust in their minds.
I just think you had your fun with that last year. You went and got Grant Barton. It's a great pickup. you got Bucky Irving. You got Jalen McMillan. You went heavy offense last year when we said defense was a must. And then this year I expected more defense, not some fun picks. We're going to take this guy. I think you needed to address way more needs on defense. And maybe with edge rusher, it wasn't there. Obviously, corner it fell, but I just really hope that we're not regretting in a couple years them passing on someone like Jahad Campbell to get a receiver that they truly, at the end of the day, they don't need this year.
Yeah, that's fair.
They don't need it.
That's fair. And then, again, I would have loved for Jahad Campbell to not be drafted by the Eagles. There's just a little pit in your stomach when someone's drafted after you by the Eagles. You always feel bad about that. But I will say, we can talk about because the Bucs went 4 straight defensive picks after Emeka Ibuka. I think the first one and maybe the best pick of the entire draft in my opinion. Round 2, Benjamin Morrison, an elite corner out of Notre Dame, a first round type of talent. This was kind of what made me feel like is like, hey, if you don't take a defensive player in the first round, it almost feels like you have a second extra first round pick because you get such a high talent in the second round. I am in love with this pick. I think he's going to be one of your starting corners this year.
Yeah, I think he's truly awesome and he's versatile. He can really do it all in man or zone. Great speed, and I just think this is one of those things where I don't know if this is necessarily like a super smart pick by Jason Light. I think truly the Bucs just got lucky that 31 other teams were stupid enough to get worried about hip injury. I think. He had a hip injury this last offseason, and it happened in high school, and then teams automatically go, ooh, I don't know. But I still think this guy was a first-round caliber player, probably should have gone there. If he doesn't have that hip injury, he definitely goes in the first round. So I think the Bucs got super lucky to get him, and I think he's going to be a day one starter.
What a place I need, too.
Yeah.
Like to have a good corner, a ball hawk, man. Like I want a guy like that.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it seems like this was a condition that he had that he always knew he was going to have surgery on. It seems like everything that's come out, it seems like he's going to be set and good, and it's not going to be something that lingers. It was a surgery that needed to happen, and it happened, and now he's going to be set for his NFL career. I'm so excited about this pick. He was great, All-American, if I'm not mistaken, at Notre Dame, which was a really good defense. They really missed him. When it came to, the other, I'm trying to look. Freshman All-American in 2022, and they had 10 pass breakups in 2023 and 11 starts, 3 interceptions. So, really, really good stuff. I'm excited about that. I do agree it's pretty dumb that he dropped that far. I do think part of, at least for cornerback, feeling okay to take a wide receiver early is there was a lot of cornerbacks left on that day 2 draft board. So, and another cornerback that was left was their round 3 pick, pick number 84, Jacob Parrish out of Kansas State. This guy is 5'9", 191 pounds. He's very small. He's lightning quick. Ran a 4.35 at the combine. This guy's gonna probably be in the running, if not your starting nickel cornerback next season.
Yeah, there's clearly been a trend, at least with the Todd Bowles defense that we've seen in recent years with some of the picks and moves that they made, is they really want somebody who can be like a utility guy in the defense. You look at Tyke Smith, you look at Christian Izien. They can play multiple positions, and Todd Bowles really likes that. He likes guys like Jose Caballero. Rays lose, by the way.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Tough.
But yeah,
the win streak is over. We got to start one again tomorrow.
We just shouldn't. We got to move to Ray J. There's something bad about
Steinbrenner. Anyways, back to Jacob Parrish.
Yeah, what really sticks out to me is that 4.35 40 time, that lightning quick speed. I think he's going to be great. And, even though I think what really kind of had him go in the 3rd round is that teams got worried about his height. But, I mean, he is super physical.
Yeah.
Great pass deflections guy. He's going to be really awesome and fun to watch.
Those short guys, they're always angry. He's one of those mean short people.
Something to prove.
Yeah, something to prove. And, I mean, we look at this guy. What impresses me is he played 14 games.
He's like, what, 5'10"?
He's 5'9", yeah. 5'9". He's not that much shorter. But he played 14 games in 2022, 12 games in 2023, and then I think 12 or 13 in 2024. So he's been playing a lot of college football. He has produced, again, saw some tape on him. Great positioning on his coverage. Some solid tackling. I think with the speed, he's going to be able to keep up and play very, very good coverage in the nickel. It'll definitely be a different look than when Tyke Smith was playing the nickel with that big, broad dude. Getting more in the run game. I think now this season we'll have more of the safeties involved in the run game, but I think he's going to improve the Bucs pass defense a lot if he's playing nickel. And again, him being able and so versatile also helps the Bucs' depth, just in case someone goes down. Now you have a guy like him and Eisen who can kind of play all positions and kind of move around and help out as needed, which is very much needed last year. With all those injuries in the secondary. Mm-hmm. And then day 3, the Bucs went defensive line back to back. They took David Walker out of Central Arkansas in round 4. I think this might be a sleeper pick. This guy, he was the Buck Buchanan. He won the Buck Buchanan Award, the Buck Award. He meant to be a Buck for the best FCS defensive player last year. If I'm not mistaken, he had 10.5 sacks last year in FCS. And obviously, it's not high-level football, but we already have an FCS player on our team, Cody Malk, who is now a bona fide starter. And maybe this could be what David Walker is.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one, and I think where they got him is kind of perfect for who he is and what he can do. I just think I think when you have talent, the NFL will find you. No matter where you are, no matter what level you're at, the NFL will find you if you have talent. And one thing they look for is because with the Division I, the FCS level, which they play multiple FBS teams. Mm-hmm. They're still considered D1. They still play a lot of talent. The NFL goes, well, I don't know. Since they play in the FCS, can they compete at this level? We have to see them produce a lot. And this guy produced a lot. 3-time FCS All-American. Yeah. 36 career total sacks. 63 career TFLs. This guy is just unreal. He's nasty. He's always getting after it, and that it's a lot of high production. So, the biggest question is still, can he produce in the NFL? Can he contribute to the team next year, or at least for the future? Somebody to help Yaya Diaby and Hassan Reddick. Can he be somebody who gets in the rotation? So I'm excited to see how he does.
I do think people forget about Chris Braswell. This guy was a guy who didn't play a lot of football at Alabama. We drafted him. It was around 3 or around 4 last year. One of those. It was pretty.
Three,
I think
four,
it was
four, four,
no,
four.
no. Bucky was 4. He was 3. Bucky was 4 for sure. I saw.
Well,
it.
3 was McMillan.
Did we draft him in the second round?
Do we have 2 third-round picks?
We might. Who was
I
the
thought
second?
Tyke Smith was second round.
No, I think we might have.
Where was Tyke Smith?
No,
then?
so
We
then
had
we
to
had
have an
two.
extra
We had
pick.
2 third rounds.
Yeah.
So we drafted him on either late day 2 or early day 3 last year. He has a lot of the intangibles. Pretty sure the Bucks drafted a new outside linebacker. Not drafted, got a new outside linebacker coach. I think Chris Braswell's in for a breakout year next year. A lot of Bucks fans forget about him because he didn't play a lot last year. But we forget about him. But I do think David Walker has a lot of potential. I'm not really convinced that he will be a huge contributor to next year, just based on what we saw from Cody Mauch, just based on just him trying to acclimate to NFL football might take a little bit longer than the guy who played SEC ball. But the production is undeniable. I think if he can produce somewhat like that, have that type of spark in the pass rush, I think it's a great pick.
Mm-hmm.
Round 5, Elijah Roberts. This one, I think might be my favorite pick of the draft. I think I said that Benjamin Morrison. It's between Morrison and Elijah Roberts. This guy is a defensive lineman. Will probably play that Logan Hall, Kalijah Cansey position. He's out of SMU. He is, come on, dude. Come on, squirrel. He is 6'3", 295, 85 pounds. And he led the FBS in quarterback pressures since 2023. He had a bunch of sacks, 37 tackles, 12 tackles for loss in 2023. And then he was a second team All-American because SMU was new in the ACC. A lot of A's and a lot of C's when you're talking about SMU. This guy has a lot of firm track record, and I'm excited. I think he's going to fight. I think it's going to be Kalijah Cansey, Vita Vea, and Elijah Roberts being your starting defensive line.
Yeah, I'm excited about this guy. Obviously, great motor. That's kind of what he plays with. Super aggressive on the D line. And one thing I like about him a lot is that he can switch out and play edge if need be. And I just think he would really fit. Kind of a 4-man front, especially with the Bucks. I think it's instances like a third and short, third and medium situation to where. If teams decide to run, he's big enough to where he can be somebody to fill the gaps. But then also, if it's a pass, he can still get after the quarterback, and he's really aggressive to do so. I mean, he was I think he led the FBS last year, the entire FBS in quarterback hurries, and that is not just for defensive line. That was for everybody who was eligible to be in that statistic. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And yeah, I think I agree. I think he'll be in that rotation with Cansey and Vita Vea, especially coming in on passing situations.
Yeah, with him and Kalijah Cansey, that's a lot more pass rush production from your interior defensive line guys than years past. Because Logan Hall, Greg Gaines, those guys are guys are run stuffers. They haven't really been true pass rushers. Kalijah Cansey gets to the quarterback.
Logan Hall's just been a disappointment.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, I am high on Elijah Roberts. I think that's an A+ pick. I'm very excited about that. And the last pick is Tez Johnson, another wide receiver. This was where I was kind of like, hey, why are we not getting an inside linebacker at least in the 7th round? But I think the main reason they drafted Tez Johnson, obviously a very highly decorated college receiver, but I think the reason for this is for him to be your returner, your kick returner, your punt returner. The NFL is still adjusting that kick return rule. I think now it's going to come out to the 35-yard line for a touchback instead of a 30, which is crazy. So it's going to be a lot of returns.
Touchdown.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of returns. Punt returns are going to be a lot better. I think that's his main role on this Bucs team next year.
Yeah, the smallest player in the draft there. He's not a very big guy. And what concerned, I think, a lot of people and why he was so late is he ran a 4.5 40. That doesn't seem very fast. I mean, that is fast for just anybody, but for kind of who he is, I think that kind of concerned a lot of people. But the tape shows a lot of different stuff. He's super, super elusive. Looks like he's got eyes on the back of his head. Some of the stuff you've been watching. But I think that's kind of the perfect fit is just he can play returner. I don't think As if he just does
jet
that
sweep
well,
guy. Maybe
yeah.
what was Devin Tompkins? That's what Tom. I forget his first name. It was Tompkins. He had the case. Now he's not on the team. Yeah. Sterling Shepard. Like I think Tez Johnson will be your next jet sweep guy, and maybe he won't fumble in a playoff game.
I think he'll mostly be a returner though.
Yeah, for sure.
He's not going to be like a big receiver production wise.
But
it's better than seeing Bucky and Sean Tucker return.
And Trey Palmer.
The
The return game has been weak for the Bucs for a long time. And we can get an electric returner. I mean, I think back to that Boise State game. In the regular season, he had a punt return and a kick return for a touchdown. So that was pretty. I mean, that if we can have him be an electric returner, that's pretty exciting. Will, you got the undrafted free agents?
Yeah, we could go into that because there is some big names, honestly, in this undrafted free agent category because, there's only a certain amount of picks. Not everybody gets picked, but there's plenty of guys who still have talent. So far, quarterback Connor Bazelak from Bowling Green, running back Josh Williams from LSU, Garrett Green from West Virginia, who's a quarterback, but he's signed as a wide receiver.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, wide receiver Will Shepard from Colorado. It kind of gets me excited. Tight end Anthony Landfear from Memphis. Offensive lineman Jake Majors from Texas. Center Ben Scott from Nebraska. Tackle Ben Chukwuma from Georgia State. Linebacker John Bullock from Nebraska. Cornerback Roman Perotti from Ohio. Safety J.J. Roberts from Marshall. Kicker Ryan Coe from Cal. Safety Shiloh Sanders from Colorado. And my biggest favorite, literally, tackle Desmond Watson from Florida.
Yeah.
So we get a hometown guy.
Not only that, he's like from Polk County.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, big snacks. Big Desmond Watson. He sticks off the page for you. I mean, again, you just kind of start thinking and dreaming about, third, fourth, and short, and you got Vita Vea and you got Desmond Watson in the middle. I mean, that's a big advantage for situational football. You think about a potential NFC championship against the Philadelphia Eagles, and they try to do the push, and they get stonewalled by 700 pounds of mass. But I do think that as a Florida fan, you guys know this, Florida USF, Desmond Watson was a productive player last year. He had did a lot of good things for the Gators. I think if he can get down to around 400 pounds, I think he could be a productive NFL player.
Yeah, he's totally got the size. I mean, it's somebody that it's like, why wouldn't you want him on your team? Why wouldn't you want somebody like that? There's just so much things you could do, like you said, with the tush push and bringing him in with Vita Vea that just is something dangerous. When they're in, if they give up a rush yard, I'll be pretty upset. But no, it makes me sad because you just look at the NFL with the 53-man roster, how limited it is. You never know if he just doesn't quite make the cut, but I think you certainly want to keep him around at least on your practice squad. And if they don't ban the tush push, why don't we do one of our own? Having him,
hey, he took a handoff in the Gasparilla Bowl and got a first down.
Let's give him his teeth. He did.
Hey,
I also think too, the late great Mike Leach.
Oh, he tried to do the.
He had to get talked out of getting a little person on the team and have him thrown over the offensive line to get a first down. And I just think you have the opportunity. I was watching. You put Tez Johnson back there, kind of a wildcat formation, and you just have him. Kind of like a spear, just throw him over.
Have him throw like shot put with Tez Johnson.
Yes.
That's really funny. Yeah, biggest player in the NFL. Biggest player in the NFL, smallest player in the NFL now on the Bucs. Fun footnote. Shiloh Sanders, another big name. Maybe can be a backup safety potential for the Bucs. I didn't love what I saw from Shiloh Sanders at Colorado. A lot of low moments, but he has some good plays. Yeah, he's got the blood.
Yeah, he lucked out on obviously because of so many Bucs guys leaving. We obviously lost Whitehead and Mike Edwards, so there's some room to make the team as a safety.
Yeah,
and they didn't really address it in the draft. Didn't really go after anybody in free agency. I mean, you have the chance to make a team.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it just brings publicity. I saw the NFL posting a lot about the Bucks since that happened. So that's kind of exciting. You got eyes on you. So I don't think there's anything bad it will bring.
Yeah, I don't think so
just
either.
More eyes on the team.
People
are going to want to go see him.
I don't think he'll make the team, though.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But I don't think he was as bad as everybody was saying.
He probably got over-memed.
He got way, like, I just think that there was a lot of, not to go on a tangent, I won't do it, but there was just a lot of hate towards the Sanders. I don't know.
A lot of unjust hate, I'd say.
I think they were fun to watch. No matter what you thought about them, the Colorado games were fun to watch.
Yeah.
They were entertaining. And I'm not the only one who just says that. I mean, you look at the top 10 games from the last 2 years, the most eyes. Colorado's going to be up there a couple times. People watched them. Maybe they were hate watching. But I don't really understand the hate so much.
Especially for Deion Sanders. Like, he really seems like invested in that team, trying to do the best for young gentlemen trying to play football. I think, obviously, Shedeur Sanders is a personality, and that obviously personality rubbed a lot of NFL front offices the wrong way. But I think the Sanders as a whole, like, I think the whole, like, oh, is Deion going to come in and ruin stuff? I don't think that was ever a thing. And I don't have, as a Bucs fan, I have no worries that Deion Sanders is going to do anything crazy with Shiloh if he doesn't make the team or if he's practicing or anything. I have no worries about that.
And even if he gets upset with the Bucs, I mean, he's just sticking up for his son.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of that stuff, even with, like, Shedeur, just the whole antics, I just think it's disingenuous to say, NFL, they care about character and this and that, because they don't.
Yeah.
They do not.
It's like cocky, arrogant, Hit's wife. We're going to take the Hit's wife person.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Won't say anything about that.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Ray Lewis killed 2 people. And he's a Hall of Famer, and he's on TV all the time.
Yeah, they swept that under the rug real quick.
Swept it under the rug. Yeah, so it's like, maybe you shouldn't have been so cocky. I don't know. Maybe just there wasn't a whole lot of demand for quarterbacks this year. And maybe teams just kind of got freaked out. This and that. I don't think it has anything to do with character when you look at, guys too like Jalen Carter. It's just ridiculous. That whole thing.
Fair. Should we do let's move to the Rays real quick.
What would you give the overall grade?
That's a good one. Way too early. Again, draft grades are a little stupid. We haven't seen them play in the NFL. This is just for content. But I'm going to say A-. I really, really like the defensive picks. I love Roberts. I love Morrison. I really like Parrish. A-. I was hovering between a B+ and A-, but I'm going to go positive. Say A-.
I'll go B+. I lean toward Will on the whole. You got to get someone defensive on the first round pick.
Yeah, I'll probably say B.
Mm-hmm. So be like 85?
Yeah, like an 85, right in the middle.
Yeah.
Not a B-, not a B+. Because B+, it's like an 89.
True, could be.
That's almost an A.
Yeah.
I'd say just a B because, like I said, not too sure about... my biggest thing, and it's not like I don't think they really missed on any picks. At least, obviously, we don't know yet. I really don't think they missed on any picks as of yet. But I just don't think that where the Bucs are right now, did they get better for the playoffs? I don't think so.
Oof. Benjamin Morrison has a word for you.
I think he does, but I just say as a team, as a whole, including with even through free agency in there, did they get better? Do they become more of a Super Bowl contender? No, I think they're just about right where they're at.
You don't think Hassan Reddick moves the needle on that? You don't think adding Morrison, Roberts, Parrish, and Hassan Reddick to that defense makes a huge difference?
Again, I think Morrison does, but I think a lot of these guys, again, with the edges, again, you have to see if they can actually produce at that level. You have to see if they can. I don't know.
What about Reddick?
Hassan Reddick's the same thing. I said it's a good signing, but we could still see the guy from last year on the Jets. There's still that chance that we see that.
Fair.
I think it's a great pick, and if it works out, I think that's going to be awesome. It's going to be a slam dunk free agent signing, but it's just there's too many variables for me to say like they got so much better. They filled they filled a couple positions out. They have some good depth pieces. But as far as game changers on the defense side of the ball, which I think they desperately need, I'd say no. Benjamin Morrison is a strong maybe for that. That I think he can really contribute and be an X factor on the defense for next year. The rest of them, time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So we'll move to the Rays. The Rays, like we mentioned, they lost tonight, but they had a 5-1 West Coast trip. They lost the first game to Arizona and then won 5 in a row, taking 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, then sweeping the San Diego Padres on the road. This was a very, very impressive road trip. The Rays now stand at 14-15. Kind of getting back on track, getting close to 500 after a pretty poor homestand, a 5-8 one to go into that. But yeah, I mean, the Padres had only lost one home game prior to their series against the Rays. Who and what and when and how and why and what stuck out to you guys this week for the Rays?
I think the biggest thing is just clutch hitting, and you see guys like Chandler Simpson just making some phenomenal plays, huge hits. I think that's been the best part. I think the bullpen has finally been playing a lot better, holding on to leads. I think, especially like the Padres series, it wasn't very, very giant leads, but the starters played well. Bullpen came in and was efficient. Offense added some runs here and there, but it wasn't anything spectacular. But that's just it was a perfect formula to win. Solid starts, bullpen, keeping you in it, not blowing it. It's just perfect.
It felt like we were watching good Rays baseball again, didn't it?
Like old school Rays baseball, where the no-namers are your MVPs of the game.
Yeah, no, it was very fun to watch. I completely agree. I think the bullpen focusing and playing much better was such a huge key. I think we've kind of talked about the runners in scoring position, the Yandy Diaz, the Brandon Laus not playing up to their standards to start the season. I think the bullpen was one of the biggest issues with this team. Just too many one-run deficits turned into 2 or 3, or too many tie games turned into deficits. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that was back-breaking the Rays. I thought the bullpen was really good. Edwin Uceda has had 3 or 4 good appearances in a row, which is
really good.
Huge. Pete Fairbanks has looked pretty much unhittable. It's been really, really good to see.
Some it's a process to get through the inning.
Yeah.
It's a little wild, but he gets it done.
No, it's like when that guy throws a ball, he's throwing a ball, man. Like, it's so high, or it's bouncing before the plate. But the bullpen's been really, really good. And then I look at a guy like Christopher Morel. He's a guy that we've been looking as a X factor for this Rays lineup. In the last 7 days, he has 2 home runs and 3 doubles, a 971 OPS. I think seeing him take better swings, a lot less whiff, has been really, really huge for the Rays.
While we're talking about tonight's game a little bit, Brandon Lau had one of the most exquisite leaping catches I've ever seen while secretly watching on my computer just now.
He's been playing good defense, yeah.
Great defense.
You said it before the show, and he proved it to me. Because I was like, I'll watch, I'll pay attention to the future. And I was like, ooh, that was really good.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, crap, it went over his head, and he caught it.
And Rays' defense has been a lot better, too. It feels like Rays baseball. I saw, this might not be true as of today, but as of the San Diego series, they led baseball in defensive runs saved.
Wow.
Which is crazy. I mean, Cameron Meisner, what a play to end it that one game where he did the sliding catch, got the double catch.
Double play,
and he had another great catch. I mean, Chandler Simpson.
Who stole the home run the other day? Was that Chandler
Simpson? Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it was a great catch.
This guy's awesome.
Yeah, he 6-3 since Chandler Simpson comes in the lineup. He's hitting 400, I think is what it said.
Does Johnny DeLuca get his spot back?
Not at this point. I mean, you can't take
Josh Lowe, man.
I said that earlier.
You can't take Chandler Simpson out. He brings an electricity to his Rays lineup that we've been desperately missing. Just the get on base. I mean, he is so fast. I was shocked. He laid down the most beautiful bunt in one of those games, and he just seems like a rally starter. Like anytime he's on base, it seems like he's going home. Whether it's he's been leading off, so Lau's got him home a couple times. He's been the catalyst for a couple huge 2-out runs, especially in that San Diego series. And we weren't able to get him in tonight, but again, you still got 2 against Kansas City, And I've just been really impressed. I mean, Shane Boz, got to talk about this guy. I mean, throwing a 7-inning shut piece on the road against San Diego, against Fernando Tatis, against Manny Machado, guys like that. That was impressive. Ryan Pepio followed that up with 6 innings, 1-run ball. That was impressive. Boz has been great. It was good to see Pepio bounce back. Taj was 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. I know his strikeouts has been down, but again, 7 innings, 2 earned runs is really, really good. The starters,
love to see it.
Yeah, the starters have been really, really good. Drew Aspen had his first rough game against Arizona last week. I'm sure he'll bounce back. But, yeah, I mean, the starters have been really, really good. It's good to see guys like Pepio and Bradley. They're kind of a bit of a coin flip of greatness or losing control, and you like to see them on the good side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think it's funny. I mean, man, we talked about how this is a time to win, and we're gonna have all these road games coming up. But come on, go right back on the road because that was fun. That was really fun.
I just did all the counting up and stuff. Since the first series, the Rays are 5-9 at home after tonight.
Yeah, that was a 5-8
So
home. It was
like,
a 5.
Let's get back on the road, boys.
Let's win these next 2 against Kansas City.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting because we always said the Trop was the problem. It's like maybe we're just not built to win at home.
I don't know. We're pretty good in the Trop, especially 2023.
True.
But yeah, we definitely need to. If we can win this series against Kansas City's been playing good ball too. I think they've won 6 out of 7 going into the series.
They're in first place, I think, in their division.
Yeah. So again,
the Tigers. Never mind.
Yeah, but I mean they're knocking on the door. So this is a big series. I mean we have a tough stretch because we got Kansas City who's playing hot. They got the Yankees on the road again. Maybe get some get back against them. And then you have the Phillies and Brewers at home next week. So this is a tough 2-week stretch. Got to continue to play good baseball, get the 2-out runs, pitch well. Tonight, Lorenzo was great tonight. I mean, he was just throwing really, really good pitches. Got to be able to string together a couple more quality at-bats. But other than that, you got to feel good about the Rays. That could be a season-changing road trip for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Chandler Simpson's been huge. You guys mentioned Josh Lowe. It's possible he'll be back in a couple weeks. Shane McClanahan, I think, has started to throw or starting the process of it. Seems like he will be back late May, early June. And then Ha-Seong Kim, they came out and said that he will probably be full-time shortstop by mid-June or early July. So the Rays are going to be getting healthier and healthier. Jake Mangum's on the 10-day IL. Hate to see that. Love that guy. Love to watch that guy play. He should be back soon. Johnny DeLuca, I haven't heard anything about him. But we'll see. Again, you got to keep the good guys. You got to keep the guys that are hot up.
It's like you bring back all the injured players and you go back into the toilet.
Well, you can't. Yeah,
I just don't know what they're gonna do.
I mean, DeLuca has options. I think you keep DeLuca down.
Yeah, send DeLuca down. Richie
I hope, but I don't know if
Palacios is
Cash has
another
the
one.
heart.
Yeah, and he was 3 for 3 in his first game. And then he got hurt.
Yeah, I don't. Man, I will. I would say
I don't know
here's
if
how
we're
you fix it. You DFA Walls, easy.
But then you only have one guy that can play shortstop. And if something happens to him in the game, who's playing shortstop?
And Walls just hit a home run.
Walls did hit a home run. That was crazy.
Hear me out, though. When Ha-Seong Kim comes back.
Oh, for sure.
And then...
well, he has options left. We can option Walls back down.
Just DFA him. He's not... What's sending him to AAA going to do?
Kidding me? He's making millions, man. You can't DFA him. That's straight out of Stu's pocket.
Million. Not millions.
He's only making $1 million.
Call up Carson Williams.
He's maybe making 2 at this
point.
But
you can have... well, what can Morel play in the infield? He can play something.
Don't put Morel in the infield.
He used to play third.
Yeah, he was bad. He was not good. That's why they put him in the outfield.
Mangum, Meisner, Simpson, your outfield guys.
I think Mangum's going to go back down to Durham, to be honest. I think he's going to be the odd guy out.
I don't know.
Unless you want to put Richie in Durham. You got to keep Meisner up.
Yeah, you definitely have to keep Meisner and Simpson.
Hey, this is a good problem to have. What, we have too many good players? That's a good problem to have.
We
That's
have
a good problem.
One really bad one and nobody to replace him.
The problem is we have pretty good players and you can't really trade any of them.
Yeah, maybe one of them to trade, get a reliever for them.
Maybe. There's not enough of a time frame or whatever.
We just need if we really want to trade Josh Lowe, we just need him to have a good month and then bang at the deadline.
That's the sad part. Though. It's I don't want to take people out of the lineup for Josh Lowe.
Man,
That's what I'm
Josh
saying.
Lowe's good, man.
He sucks.
No, he's good. He
He hasn't been good since like 2022.
With how good our outfield guys have been playing, I've forgotten about him.
he was great in 2023, but
Oh, that was the
Again,
season.
Hey,
we're
he
getting
hurt
it
him.
2 years ago at this point.
he hurt himself on a hit. That should tell you all you need to know.
That was the saddest part of that opening.
Yeah, it was like man, he just Josh Lowe's first hit of the oh. But yeah, let us know your thoughts on the Rays. Do we got anything else on the boys?
Yeah, I just think, again, clutch hitting.
Yes,
Especially
very
the
huge.
Arizona series, where I feel like, at least for so long last year into this year, where a one-run deficit is insurmountable,
Yeah.
and then, heaven forbid, it's 2 or 3 or 4, and, man, the Rays have
I think we came back from 3 against
Yeah.
Arizona.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was
Just
a
clutch hitting, stay alive, eighth and ninth inning hits. I mean, you love to see it.
It was impressive.
Extra inning hits.
In those series too. There was like 7th inning, there was a rally. 8th inning, there was a rally. 9th inning, there was a rally. Like it was continuous. And the Rays, again, with all the they've eliminated a lot of whiff in their lineup, and it takes away. Sometimes you're just not going to have the home run producing, but you're able to put pressure on the lineup or the pitchers because the lineup can have Chandler Simpson go and he's going to put the ball in play. Or it can have Jake Mangum go and he's going to put the ball in play. Or it can have Yandy Diaz go and he hits the ball all over the place. Or it has Brandon Lau and maybe he's going to hit a home run. Or Morel's hot. Or Aranda's hot. I mean, it's the lineup's getting very long, and that's because the young players are playing good.
Yeah.
Now let's bring this home because losing tonight, it's like, can we actually
Let's
do this
win.
at
Let's
home?
win this series. Let's win this next 2 games.
It'd be great. Yeah, and then we're back on the road. We can keep doing what we do on the road.
We'll go back to the big version of our stadium.
True.
So maybe it'll be too similar to our stadium.
The mothership.
The mothership. Anything else?
I would have never thought that a West Coast trip was what was going to ignite the team. Like,
You know-
every year we stink on the West Coast.
I was thinking about this. The only time that they had a really good West Coast trip was 2022, and that West Coast trip kept that team above 500 for a long time because they had I think it was a 6-1 West Coast trip. So hey, maybe this team is due for the playoffs just like 2022 was.
I hope so.
And then we have like a 15. What'd you say it was 12-game West Coast trip in August.
Yeah,
So hopefully we
8 and
do good
4.
on that. Yeah, let's do good on that one too. Let's not be
12
like
now.
it's like, oh, we saved the bad West Coast trip for the end of the year.
five. I was really hoping they were going to win tonight because 5-game winning streak was their longest of last year, and I was hoping they were going to beat that. But we'll just beat that when we start
Yeah,
our winning
time.
streak tomorrow.
That was their City Connects, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And they dropped that.
yeah, that was a magical series, and then there was no more magic to be had.
Who'd have thought the White Sox would have ended that?
Who would have thought? They had our number last year. They were
did.
that. I think
As bad as they were.
they had a winning record against us. Man, we got swept on the road against them. Did you see their Chicago Bulls jerseys?
Ugly.
Dude, Joel likes
Ugly.
I
them.
like them.
I just can't believe they made literal basketball jerseys.
I don't necessarily hate the hat, right? Or jerseys. I think it's it's different, it's unique.
You don't like the hat?
I think the hat is terrible.
Do you understand that it's supposed to look like the Jordan logo, but with the white sock?
Yeah, but I just
I
hate
think
how
it's cool.
how the hat matches the jersey exactly with the pinstripes
Mm.
and the red. I think that's always an ugly look.
I see that.
when you have like the same.
So if it was
color.
just matte red, you think it'd be a lot better?
I think it should have been black.
Okay,
I think it should have been black.
I can
I
rock
don't
with
even
that.
think the logo's that great anyway, though.
The logo's cool. It's not like great or anything. I think they're take it or leave it. Like
and
they're
I
meh.
think the should have just been all red too.
They should have kept the
the-
Southside jerseys. Those jerseys
yeah, they
were
should have just
beautiful.
kept that. Really, that at the end of the day, you should have just
Yeah.
kept those.
Those are so sick.
Yeah, did you
Oh,
see?
the Diamondbacks? The Diamondbacks ones, they're going back to purple.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's like purple and blue.
Yeah.
But did you see this went completely under the radar in the NFL draft? The NFL is doing City Connect uniforms.
Oh, I did see that.
I did not see that.
And yeah, they're calling it NFL rivalries, and it's exactly like the City Connects.
That's
I don't
gonna be
necessarily
bad.
know if it's going to be kind of like the MLB and the NBA, who kind of have some leeway with doing like crazy colors that aren't necessarily like your primaries, but you're still going to get a new alternate. And I think this year it's the NFC West and the AFC East are going to get them. So I'm excited to see it. It could be really, really, really cool.
Or they could botch
The
them.
sad part is I saw that the South divisions are the last one to get them.
They are.
So we're going to get them in like 2029. It's like, so start the clock, guys. Woo, 4
But
years.
it'll just be cool to see, and maybe that's a good thing being last. You look at how it worked out for the Rays.
Yeah,
True.
it did.
They
That
saw
actually is true.
everybody
But
make
It
mistakes.
was so hard to wait, though.
It was hard to
It
wait.
was super hard to wait, but it was definitely worth it. I think they're unbiased. They're still the best uniform
They're
in
so
baseball.
good. Again, now that the black Chicago White Sox or Southside ones are gone, I mean, that's
They
another.
really are. There's no better ones.
These Arizona jerseys are gorgeous.
They're really cool.
I've seen the jersey, but again, all it takes is bad pants or a bad hat to
That's true.
really.
They'll probably just go
ruin it.
white pants with those Arizona
It's
jerseys.
okay, though. The hat's beautiful, too.
Wait, I don't think that's what they look like.
No, that's a fan-made one.
Yeah.
Are they black?
It's black
No,
with like a
the
graded-
real ones are blue.
Yeah. Whoever made these did a great job.
Yeah, those,
Yeah,
did
those are
look-
actually
those
sick.
They
That's
look
probably
like
what
the
they
Phoenix
should've done.
Suns jerseys.
Yeah.
All right. That's episode 82. It's a long one. All 3 Tampa Bay sports. We wrapped them up. We talked everything you guys need to know from the biggest week in Tampa Bay sports all year. So, yeah, drop a like. Drop a subscription to the channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter /X. You know, that's we're posting daily content on that. So you guys got to get over there. On Spotify, hit the 5 stars, hit the follow button. Comment down below. Are the Lightning cooked? How do you feel with the Bucks draft? Are the Rays back? Stuff like that. We want to hear your guys' thoughts. And yeah, I hope you guys all have a beautiful and blessed night.